What is going on, guys? SteelTwins back at you with another video. Before we get into this Steelers and Chiefs preseason week 2 game, first things first, we want to send our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to the Darryl Drake family. As you all guys know right now, that this past Sunday, unfortunately, our wide receiver coach Darryl Drake unfortunately passed away. You know, it's very, it just came out of nowhere, really. You know, especially from what the coaches and players have been saying. You know, back last week against the Buccaneers game, they were talking to him and they were chatting with him. He looked fine. He was in good health and everything. Then, unfortunately, Sunday morning, he passed away. You know, it's just really hard to believe and everything.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where, you know, your life can go like that. You know, one day you're smiling and happy and with your teammates, your brothers, or what you would call your sons, I guess.
Your family, really, and then
You're gone. It's insane.
you know, tomorrow's never promised.
No. And like you said, we want to send our prayers, condolences, and everything to the Dale Drake family, as well as the Steelers organization, as they all grieve through this time. I know we're a few days late. You know, this happened Sunday. And we posted a statement on Twitter, but we thought we'd open this preview because obviously the game opened with them paying tribute to Dale Drake, and they obviously have a a decal with his initials DD that they'll be wearing all year, which is cool. Similar to what they did with Chuck Noll when he passed. So it's unfortunate. Um, Dale Drake, rest in peace. We appreciate your contributions to the team, although it was only for a year, but
But for that year, you definitely made your mark.
yeah. And
You really
honestly,
did.
and one thing we will say before we get into the preview is that one dude that stepped out in this game was Deontay Johnson, and if he turns into the stud that we all hope he does, if he turns into the next AB or the next, you know, whatever, the next Juju or Santonio Holmes or whatever, we have no one to thank but him.
Because
And
Dale Drake is the person, is the sole reason, really, on why Deontay Johnson is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Why we drafted him with our first pick in the third round this past draft is because Dale Drake had high hopes and so much, you know, praise for Deontay Johnson.
yeah, he just fell in love with him, and tonight he showed so much potential, and he would have made Dale Drake proud for the reason why he fell in love with him, why we drafted him, man.
And I'm sure after the game tonight, Dale Drake was looking down on Johnson and like, that's why I got you. That's why you are a Pittsburgh Steeler.
And that's one thing I like to look at. You know, it depends how you feel about that type of stuff, but I believe in that stuff completely, and I think Dale Drake would be one proud man.
And you can dang well bet that Deontay Johnson is going to honor his legacy and memory of Darryl Drake throughout his entire career.
As for the Steelers receivers, excuse me, that we have now, Dale Drake, rest in peace. May your memory live on. May you fly high, and may God help you, your family, and the Steelers, and everyone that you impacted in a positive note in this sad time. Rest in peace. You know, guys, that's never how we ever want to open a video. You know, when Ryan Shazier went down, we had to open the video on a very unfortunate and sad note. And that's something that no one ever wants to do. It's unfortunate. It's sad. It's nothing that you ever want to come across. I mean, it's one of the more inevitable things in life. You're gonna lose someone like that, but it's something that you can never prepare for or something you never want to do. Opening a video like that, man, it sucks. It does. But anyway, guys, this is the Steelers Chiefs post game analyst, I guess. So We're just going to get right into it, man. We're going to start with the offense. Of course, one of the main guys that we had to look at and was really looking forward to in this game was the starter of this game, Mason Rudolph. And honestly, man, wow. Like, this dude is only in his second year. He redshirted his entire rookie season. He did not play one snap. And the crazy thing is he's only going to get better. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
Like, this dude came in as a starter off of a very impressive week 1 last week, coming into another big week this week, to base on his consistency and his battle for the number 2 spot. And I can honestly say, at this moment, I think he is already, right now, and I don't think anyone can take it away from him at this moment. I think he is the confirmed number 2 quarterback.
Absolutely, I definitely think so. If you ask me, he definitely picked up. He picked up. He
Right
picked off where we started.
Yeah, he picked up right where we left off from last week, man. And that's when now we can preach about his accuracy and his composure and all that shit that we said last week, and the thing is that continued to progress this week. We saw a little bit more of that this week and everything, and it looked very, very impressive. Like, again, from a second-year quarterback. But the one thing that you mostly got to take away from Rudolph is his consistency. From last week to this week, it's insane. He was just so consistent on everything. Now, he did have a slow start. Granted, that was mostly due to his receivers dropping passes. And yes, Grimble, I'm talking to fucking you, motherfucker.
Yeah, Xavier Grimble.
How do you drop a wide-open target, a wide-open pass, a perfect pass, directly in your hand? Who are you, Lima Swede? Who the fuck are you, Sammy Coates?
Like, you don't drop a wide open pass like that.
He was wide open, perfect ball placement, and he just drops it. Can we trade for a fucking tight end?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm sorry, I don't like Xavier Grimble as a number 2. He's a decent number 3, and I don't think Zach Gentry is going to be a number 2 because he's just a rookie.
Yeah, I don't think he's anywhere near ready to be a number 2.
Right.
At all.
Right. And I don't mean to go off topic here, but I seriously think this is one of the more important things that honestly Colbert needs to look at heading into regular season. And we all know what he does with trades at the end of August and everything. He's done it every year. Trade for a tight end. We need depth. We need experience. We need positivity at tight end. Because all we got is Vance McDonald. And if he goes down,
the tight end position is basically fucked.
Yeah.
So we need a reliable number 2. I'm sorry. This could be Grimble's opportunity to show that he is. I don't think it is.
No.
I don't.
Because honestly, man, the past 2-3 years, he's gotten all this praise, all this hype, and let me say, from experience, from what we saw in person, this is a big motherfucker. He looks like a linebacker, okay? I'm going to tell you that. He looks like a fucking linebacker in person. If you see him square on, he looks like a linebacker. But none of that transitions.
Not onto the field. Absolutely not.
He's gotten all this hype in training camp and never progressed. Like, we seriously need a tight end. But going back on the quarterbacks, the Mason Rudolph, he did have a slow start, but he definitely picked it up as his reps went on. And man, he looks fucking great again this week. He definitely looked, just as good. He looked very consistent and in every aspect, and his accuracy, his composure, his
confidence, really.
Pretty much.
I remember there was this one play where he threw a tight ass throw towards James Washington.
Perfect.
Like I said last week about Rudolph, I don't see a lot of backup quarterbacks make plays or be that confident at all.
Yeah. Like, that
whatsoever.
That was a perfect fucking zip, perfect ball placement on a 3rd and long to James Washington for the first down. It was incredible. I marked out. And I remember there was this one play where Mason Rudolph was escaping pressure and everything. The dude was coming around on Villanueva on the left side, and he did a little stutter step to pretty much fake out the pass rush. Then he motioned outside the pocket to the right, and he did a quick little pump fake that faked out the other defensive end, and then he was able to juke them and buy some time and threw a dart to Eli Rogers that was incomplete, but
nonetheless, it was great composure, it was great confidence, and he was very calm.
Yeah, he was very smooth.
He did not react under pressure. He was just very calm.
Yeah, he looked...
It was like some Aaron Rodgers type shit.
It looked like some Ben shit. You know how Ben escapes pressure and buys some time, continues to play? And the great thing about it is that he looked down the field and looked for an open target the entire time. Rudolph, we do give Rudolph a lot of hype, and that might be a little bit biased. We're not going to lie. We might be a little bit more biased to Rudolph. But seriously, he has been looking really good this preseason. I honestly think he is the confirmed number 2 at this point. I don't think anyone can take it away from him. At this point, it's his job to lose, and I don't think he's going to lose it.
Yeah, if he be more consistent, if he continues this throughout preseason, no question.
Yeah.
No question. I think it's no question now. But if he continues to do it, no question.
Yeah, like he's looking real good. Now, if you look at his stats from this game, they're not the most spectacular, but this also shows you that statistics doesn't say everything. It's just his body language, his composure, his patience, his confidence, and that drive he had, it was just so methodical. It drained the clock. I think it was Jalen Samuels who got the rushing touchdown, man. It was just so methodical, so smooth that drained the clock. He looked very smooth. Washington stepped up in that drive as well as Samuels. Man, it was just a beautiful drive led by Rudolph, man. It was incredible. A lot of guys stepped up. The offensive line stepped up. Rudolph looked smooth. Like I said, Washington, Samuels, big playmakers on that drive. It looked real nice.
It really did.
Very nice, man.
I'm loving what Rudolph's showing. I hope it continues. And if it does, goddamn.
Seriously, like, he's taking charge with his number 2 spot. And if he continues to impress, man, it's insane. And I'm still going to say it. Again, I don't want to be too biased. I don't want to be too hype. This guy, if he continues, he's only going to get better. He's only in his second year. This is his first bit of serious action. Last year, it was just to get his feet wet. He was obviously going to be the number 3 guy. He wasn't going to play one game last year. We knew that. This is his first bit of serious action to get that number 2 spot.
And he's making the most of it.
He is not disappointing in any aspect. And he's only going to get better. He's in his second fucking year. While you got a guy like Josh Dobbs, who had the same route, who redshirted his rookie year, and is in his third fucking year, and is not as consistent.
Now, let's get into Josh Dobbs right now. Statistically, he did not have a bad game.
No.
He was not all bad in this game,
right.
But he wasn't all good.
Right, but at the same time, same thing like we said with Rudolph. Statistically, in terms of yardage and completion and shit, Josh Dobbs statistically might have the better game. And honestly, he would have had a would-be touchdown Deontay Johnson that was fucking taken back because of a bullshit offensive pass interference penalty on Johnson, who had a great game and we'll get into later. But if you look at statistically, Josh Dobbs arguably may have had a better game. But again, statistics doesn't speak everything. Because Josh Dobbs looked okay, I guess. He looked I guess. It just shows that first of all, I expected so much better from a third-year player, honestly.
And so did I. From what I've seen, he hasn't done all bad in the 2 games of preseason.
Yeah, because he has his moments. He definitely has his moments, but he definitely has his mistakes. And he had a few mistakes in this game, especially one interception that was incredibly overthrown on a fucking, it seemed like a flat route or something to Deontay Johnson.
It was just a quick, simple route and throw, and he overthrew it. I mean, granted, Johnson could have jumped a little more and given a little bit more effort towards it, but with a throw like that, Dobbs should have just thrown it straight towards a touchdown.
It was a poorly overthrown pass. It pretty much cost us the touchdown at the end of the first half. Like Josh Dobbs, he had his moments. He had a very nice thrown ball to James Washington. He got a very nice rushing first down, or he rushed for a first down, escape pressure and everything. And that's the thing with Rudolph. That's the thing with Dobbs. We all know he's better on his feet. He really is. He's okay as a passer. He's not going to succeed as a passer. He'll more so succeed as a rusher.
Right.
And that's what he is. That might be his only saving grace for making the 53.
Because he's a dual threat.
Yes. But, honestly, he doesn't fit our system. We're more, our system fits more of pocket passers or field generals, guys like Ben and Bradshaw. And, honestly, if you look at Dobbs' play style, does his play style have any success with this team?
It doesn't look like it at all.
Cordell Stewart.
But that was with Bill Cowher. I think Bill Cowher can make any quarterback look decent at best.
Right. But still, nonetheless, Josh Dobbs, we did have high hopes on Josh Dobbs. Hell, and first of all, I want to apologize to Josh Dobbs if you're watching this video. This is from the bottom of my heart. I apologize. I am sorry because I compared him to Dak Prescott. I thought
Oh my God.
I said he was going to be the next Dak Prescott, and it's weird because he was drafted the same overall, same round, only 1 year apart. I thought he was going to be the next Dak Prescott and everything. It turns out he just might be worse.
He makes Dak Prescott look good. I mean, I still like Dobbs. I still feel like he has potential, but he's just too damn inconsistent.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I said that last week, and he's still showing. He's too inconsistent.
And he's in his 3rd year. I expected a little bit more from Dobbs, man. Seriously. And I'm not saying get rid of him or cut him or trade him at the moment, but Devlin Hodges is actually looking a little better. Now, tonight we didn't see much of him. We got maybe one solid drive of Devlin Hodges to analyze on, and I don't think that's a fair argument to say that, oh, Hodges is better than Dobbs off of one drive, because I really don't feel like that's a fair argument. I was hoping Hodges would have gotten a little bit more drives in there, so there could be a fair argument. But if you want to look at it from a consistency aspect, yeah, he kind of is. I mean, from last week where he looked pretty good, he transitioned that into the week 2 and still looked pretty consistent as well, and threw a fucking dime to Deontay Johnson at the end of the game, which pretty much sealed the game.
Yeah, that throw was fucking beautiful.
Right, and a phenomenal adjustment from Deontay Johnson for the touchdown, for his what should have been second touchdown, but...
Yeah, but like we said about the bullshit pass interference penalty.
Right. But nonetheless, man, the quarterbacks looked pretty decent. I wish we would see more from Hodges. I expected a little bit more from Dobbs. If he doesn't continue to progress, I feel like we could trade him to a team that could use a decent backup. The Eagles is definitely out of the question.
Because they got McCown.
Yeah, last week we mentioned the Lions. Lions, hit us up if you need someone decent. I don't know who else needs a fucking quarterback. Maybe that's just me being greedy and wanting some out of Dobbs. I would take a fucking 7th rounder. I don't care. But that's if he doesn't progress. So we'll see what happens. But Mason Rudolph was definitely the talk of the town with the quarterbacks. And he just looked real good. He continued his progression. And again, he's only in his 2nd year. He's only going to get better. But he's taking charge with his number 2 quarterback spot. And he's looking real good with it.
Seriously.
Yeah, now, obviously, I don't want him to get any action this year because I feel like that might be too much pressure on Rudolph. Now, that's a different story for a different day, but a little bit of reps here and there could not, go too far with Rudolph or everything.
Right, it wouldn't harm him.
Right, so, but that's, again, a different story for another day. As for the receivers, man, James Washington had another productive game. He had what?
4 receptions, 78 yards.
Yeah.
Which is great to see.
Yeah, and you talk about consistency, man. Like, he transitioned everything from week 1 to week 2. Like, I mean, this guy is a preseason monster. He had a great preseason last year. He's transitioning that into this year's preseason.
Except he's a little more confident. He's slimmed down. He's faster. He's stronger. His hands are much better, as you can definitely tell.
Yeah, he's more aware. He's more confident. This dude, and I know last year his preseason hype did not transition into the regular season, or for most of the regular season, but this dude's going to be a lethal weapon this year. This dude is going to have a breakout year. This dude is going to burst out. This guy is going to be, this guy's going to be lethal. This guy's going to be a great deep threat. This guy came in with Rudolph, and again, like that, their consistency from Oklahoma State was like that again. Dobbs' first throw of the game was a 40-yard pass to Washington, and it was a great catch from Washington as well. This dude's just stepping up. This dude is really taking charge with that number 2 spot because Dante Moncrief did play today, but he didn't do shit. All he did was fumble.
Yeah, his very first touch was a fumble, unfortunately.
Which I'm not worried about whatsoever. This is his first bit of action with a new team, so I'm not gonna say, "Oh, what a fucking terrible ass signing. Great job, Colbert. You're a fucking idiot." I'm not saying that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Moncrief. He's just getting into the flow. It happens with every team. It happens with every player, with every new team, honestly.
Right, of course. Just give it time. Eventually they'll come around.
Right.
And I definitely hope to see that from Moncrief. From what we've been hearing, he's bursting onto the scene for the Steelers.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that is the case. Hopefully we see that as these next 2 weeks progress. But Washington, he could take the number 2 spot because Moncrief, he's got to play catch up and he's got to be quick with it. But if Washington continues to keep going, man, he might get that number 2 spot, and I'm excited to see that.
And it won't surprise me if he does, because the way he's performing, if he continues, he's definitely bound for big things to come for his NFL career.
And teams better watch out for Washington, because they're going to double team Juju, obviously, and then they're going to leave Washington one-on-one, and with his speed and his deep threat ability and his aggressiveness down the field, I can see him making big plays, and then that will have teams trying to double-team Washington. That opens the door for Juju. That opens the door for Moncrief. That opens the door for Johnson. That opens the door for Samuels, for McDonald, and all that shit. You get it. And that's crazy about this offense.
It's really scary to think about, really.
Seriously. So it's great to see these receivers stepping up. Deontay Johnson, who we've mentioned a few times already, had a great game. He should have had 2 touchdowns, but he had a great touchdown at the end of the game to seal it. Again, a great pass from Hodges.
Deontay Johnson, especially in his first game in the NFL.
Yeah. This dude's going to be a stud. Like, his releases, his route running is fucking... And we knew this, but seeing it in person is or not in person, but seeing it on the field for the first time is insane. His releases, his route running, his speed, his adjustment to the ball. It's like, this dude's supposed to be a rookie, but yet he plays like he's experienced already.
Yeah, seriously. Like, it's just a small glimpse of what he's going to do for the Steelers.
Seriously.
For his career. Like, damn.
And I'm loving it.
I'm excited.
Ba 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 ba. I'm loving it. I had to. I'm sorry. Shout out to Chisel Adonis and shit. But yeah, Deontay Johnson's looking real good. The receivers are stepping up, looking real good. I'm loving seeing these young guys, these young bulls, step up, because that's what we need. We need young guys like Washington and Johnson to step up. After AB left. And that's the one thing people keep saying, oh, you lost AB. Your receivers aren't going to be the same. Yeah, you might be true, but see these guys stepping up. Granted, it's preseason. I'm not really going to get too serious about anything seen in preseason, but it's promising. It's good to look at.
It is. It really is. This is what preseason is for, to see what they can potentially do heading into the regular season.
Absolutely. And it's a great thing to see, man. As for that, the offense, I mean, outside of that, they didn't really do much. Only thing I can say is Chuck Okorafor looked pretty weak early on, honestly, and he's fighting for a right tackle starting gig with Matt Fielder and everything. I think Matt Fielder's gonna win it. Chuck's had high hopes for him, but I think I think it'd be best for him just to continue his development and everything and leave Fielder the starting gig.
Especially since Fielder has more experience with the starting offensive line.
Right. But that's another thing to take out from the offense. Other than that, man, the defense looked pretty decent, honestly. They allowed only 1 touchdown. It was pretty late in the first half. I didn't really expect Mahomes to go whole MVP-like or anything, but they did limit Mahomes pretty nicely, which is surprising to see. They did not have Devin Bush tonight, so I would have been very interested. I would have loved to see how this defense, who played pretty decent tonight, to see how they would have performed with Devin Bush in the lineup. That's one thing, unfortunately, we didn't get to see, but hopefully we see him next week. I'm sure the reason why he was out was because of just being precautious. It's the same thing we did with TJ Watt when we put him on the PUP list before training camp. It was just being precautious so that we don't risk any further injury, because we kind of can't at the inside linebacker position anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
So I don't blame that whatsoever. I feel like we're going to see Bush next week. Hopefully we see a little bit more promise from Bush. Other than that, man, surprisingly, Bud Dupree had a real good game. He had 2 sacks. Granted, it was against backups, but hey, it's promising.
Yeah, I will say, I've been a little bit critical of Bud Dupree lately.
I think we all have.
Yeah, really, to be honest. But I do have hope for him. I do hope he's more consistent. I do hope that he can actually finish the tackles, like he missed badly for most of last year. I still got high hopes for Dupree, especially since he's making $9.2 million freaking dollars.
Yeah, but he definitely looks a little bit more aware, because not only did he get 2 sacks, he got a real nice PBU on a screen. Granted, it's a screen pass, but he definitely looked real nice. Bud Dupree looked real nice. Hopefully that transitions into the regular season. Hopefully he's a very good complementary piece to TJ Watt. Fully this time, he has his games here and there, but more times we all know he's inconsistent. But hopefully he transitions this performance into the regular season. We see a little bit more dominance. But Bud Dupree's first action in the preseason, very stellar, very, very stellar, very impressed.
It's very surprising if you ask me.
Yeah, and one guy that was very surprising is Artie Burns.
Yeah, believe it or not, Artie Burns, who we've been highly critical of and want to get released.
Yeah.
To be honest, we know he's not going to get released because he is, outside of Joe Hayden, Mike Ellen, the most experienced cornerback we got on this team.
Yeah.
And we need quality, experienced depth on the team. So, but Burns, not gonna lie, he had a nice game. Had a nice game.
Seriously.
He didn't do all bad. You know, I felt like he did his job, made some tackles, got a pass deflection.
And you know what?
Did fine.
I'm not gonna say good job. I'm not gonna give you a round of applause, but I will say, keep it up. Keep it up. I will say that. You know, it's tough love, man. I'm all about tough love. Keep it up.
You know, we want to see these guys get better. We may be critical of them, but we want to see these guys better.
Yeah,
you know,
seriously.
we want to see them thrive.
Yeah. So.
And I hope this is the start for not only Dupree, but Burns as well.
Yeah.
I really hope so. Considering that this is more than likely their last year in Pittsburgh, so they're really going to have to showcase, you know, that they belong here.
Yeah.
Why they got drafted here in the first round.
Right. And don't forget exactly my point I was just about to make. Those two guys are both first-round guys that still selected that could be considered a bust. And here they are in preseason, stepping up in their first bit of action.
If they can continue that and take that into regular season,
that's what we need for this defense, man.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of defense, they made some turnovers.
Yeah.
They really did.
I know Edmonds had this great forced fumble early in the game. I think Marcus Allen got a forced fumble at the end of the game. Who else had a fumble? I know someone forced a fumble, that Tuzar Skipper, who had another good
Mike
game.
Hilton.
Yeah, thank you. It was Mike Hilton who forced a fumble, and Tuzar Skipper was able to. Now, we didn't get any picks or anything, but to see that these guys are forcing fumbles and forcing turnovers is what we need. We all know turnovers killed us last year because we got. Shit, I know we got like 8 picks last year. I don't know how many fumble recoveries. Our turnovers were terrible on defense last year.
That's what killed us.
Yeah, but to see these guys making turnovers, attacking the ball, you know, being a little bit more aggressive, it's awesome to see.
It's very promising for the defense.
Yeah, it is. So guys, keep it up, man. Seriously. Overall, man, real decent performance. Obviously, it was very sloppy. I mean, it was sloppy from both teams. The Chiefs and the game entirely just started sloppy. The Chiefs and the Steelers both looked sloppy. They both teams picked it up, but I feel like the reason why it was sloppy and why we didn't really showcase as much as we could have is because it was obviously a very tough and hurtful and emotional week.
Especially for the Steelers.
Yeah, it was a bad week for us.
They were definitely still mourning the loss of Darryl Drake and everything.
Right. So I'm not gonna. You know, it was a bad week, so of course we're gonna have a sloppy performance and everything. So,
but as the game progressed, you know, they did fine.
Yeah. So, guys definitely stepped up, especially on offense and on defense. Good to see that. Hopefully, we see more of that next week as we face, I believe, the Titans.
I believe so, and I believe that is Sunday night too.
Yeah, that is. So,
if it's not the Titans, correct us if we're wrong. Yet again, it don't really matter who we go up against because it's just preseason. It's just nice to see how the rookies and the backups can really showcase what they can do on the field.
Absolutely. Other than that, man, if you guys enjoyed, you know, obviously, or I hope you guys enjoyed and everything. If you guys want to see more detail and more thought-out opinion about the game and everything, you guys can obviously go to steelyungers.com/podcast, where me, Rob, and of course Justin Hotstot, aka or FKA, Just Blaze 412 did a podcast on the game and gave a little bit more in depth, a little bit more, you know, browsed
analyst, I guess you can say, about the Steelers and Chiefs Week 2 preseason game.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, you guys can go to steelyungers.com/podcast. Our first revived podcast episode, I think that's what we're calling it, the revived episode of the podcast,
yeah,
I guess.
Let's call it.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do one podcast per week about the Steelers games and just go over whatever, injuries, the game, topics, you know, shit like that. I feel like what we'll also do is that we'll add a little bit of in-game preview as we, or after we talk about the game, analysts and everything. So I guess you guys can expect that throughout the entire season, man. Again, steelyungers.com/podcast. If you guys are interested in seeing that, go ahead and go to that website and everything. It's all right there for you guys to check out and everything. Obviously, it's optional, but, you know, other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, man. Let us know your guys' thoughts about the game in comments below, man. See you guys next one.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace!